justice for all.
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we give thanks, Lord, for each and every blessing that you bestowed upon us today, Lord. We give thanks, Lord, for your love and the way you showed that love to us by sending your Son to die on the cross for us. We give thanks for that. We ask, Lord, to be with our children as school has been out for a week or two. Continue to be with them during the summer, Lord, and we just ask your blessing upon them. They go through difficult times when they're not in our school system, and we just ask that you meet their needs. We ask, Lord, to be with our meeting tonight and forgive us where we fail you. In Christ's name, amen. Amen. Okay, I'm happy to, before we get started, I'm sorry. We have got some special guests here tonight. We have Ron Ash and we have David Baker from Hardeman County. They will be evaluating us for Board of Distinction. And I've always made the comment that if I wasn't on this school board, I would love to be on their school board because they have a great school board and we appreciate it. I've grown to love these two young men over the years, and they are special people, and I appreciate them coming at the last minute. We realized we were not Board of Distinction as just coming July, so if they hadn't been here tonight, we wouldn't have got it done, and they came at the last minute, so we do appreciate that. We appreciate it. And at this time, we've got the agenda in front of you. I'll entertain a motion we approve it unless any changes. Motion made by Ms. Ayler. Seconded by Moose. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We have the consent agenda there, and the only thing in the consent agenda is our minutes from the May 13th meeting. And I do appreciate Mr. Atkins filling in for me that month, and I'll try not to let it happen again. Thank you very much.
Go ahead.
Thank you. So we have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Ms. Carter and seconded by Mr. Ross. There's no discussion on the consent agenda. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We always have a stakeholders recognition for those that mean a lot to us in our school district, and we're giving away special gift bags tonight to 3 people that have no idea it's coming. But we do appreciate you, and I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Smith at this time.
I'm getting some looks from out there. We are the second largest employer in Hardeman County, and we run over $50 million through with everything from running transportation to small restaurants as cafeterias to provide instructional supports, mental health supports, leadership, and employing a lot of employees. And it absolutely has to be a team effort. And as you know, 3.5 years ago, I asked Ms. Higgs, Mr. Rutherford, and Dr. Wooden to be a part of the Executive Assistant Director Leadership Team. We've been in this together the whole time, and it definitely takes a team. There's no way this can happen what happens without these people. And I just wanted to especially recognize them, and I knew if I told them beforehand, because Lisa's looking at me funny, that they would talk me out of it, so I didn't give them a choice. But tonight we are recognizing our stakeholders as Miss Lisa Higgs. Oh.
Thank you.
As you know, she is our Executive Assistant Director for Finance. Mr. James Rutherford is Executive Assistant Director of Teaching and Learning. And Dr. Darrell Wooden is our Executive Assistant Director of Operations. I'm going to avoid them tomorrow. Yes, we need to take a picture.
Yes.
We do. Come on. Y'all come back. Okay. Come back.
You're going to be humiliated. You might as well go now.
You too.
Well, I am sure to go both of you.
I don't have my lipstick on.
Hang on, say I might get you
You hush.
I gotta say it again.
Oh, my goodness.
Lipstick's not on.
Thank y'all for all you do.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
untold number of hours, and we've had some people out, for a lot of different reasons over the past 6 months, and they are never hesitant to step up and say, what do I need to do, even if it's not their area, so I appreciate everything they do every day.
Okay, next we move into the consolidation funding application. Oh, come right through that. We do, have a time set aside for public comment, so is there anyone that would like to say anything at this time? Hearing none, we'll move right into the consolidation funding application. Dr. Smith.
Okay, the Consolidated Funding Application is our federal programs and special populations application that basically lays out what we do with our ESEA requirements, Title I, English learner requirements, Title III, Title IV, Title VI, and IDEA Part B and preschool. So all of these types of things, such as the entire special education department and most of Dr. Wooden's federal programs, run through this application. It is in the drive, and it is probably over 100 pages, so we did not print it out, but you do have access to read each category and sub-fund and what those funds are spent on specifically. We will bring the budget in the budget committee report, but we have to approve the consolidated funding application. Basically what this is, the big categories is used for our educational assistance for both gen ed and special ed, instructional coaches, materials and supplies. A lot of our intervention materials are purchased with these dollars, most of your nurses, and then your special ed budget. Any questions on what those are used for? Yes, we do.
So I entertain a motion to approve the consolidation funding application.
I'll make a motion.
Motion made by Mr. Davis,
Second.
second by Mr. Swift. Any discussion? Any more questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. We met first.
Second reading.
We had a work session an hour prior to our meeting tonight, and we went ahead and discussed our policy updates just to kind of expedite our meeting tonight. But our first one is our FMLA 5.305. We read it and went over it last month, and this will be our second reading on that. So we will set that one aside as approving it by itself. So I'll entertain a motion to approve that.
I make that motion.
Motion made by Ms. Carter to approve the FMLA 5.305 and seconded by Ms. Ayler. Any discussions, any questions? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the policies and our gentleman from Hardin County, you will probably be doing these in y'all's meeting pretty soon. So most of them are actually handed down through the state legislation. So I'm gonna run through them just for the posterity of having them recorded. We've got policy 2.403, the surplus of property sales, 3.204, threat assessment team, 4.100, instructional program, 4.212, virtual education program, 4.301, interscholastic athletics, 4.403, library materials, 4.406, use of internet, 4.601, reporting student progress, 5.119, employment of retirees, 5.701, substitute teachers, 6.200, student attendance, 6.303, questioning students and searches, 6.304, student discrimination, harassment, bullying, 6.312, use of personnel communication devices, 6.411, student wellness, 6.600, students' records. We did discuss those in length before the meeting, so I'll entertain a motion we approve all of those on the first and second reading because they are model policies.
Let's so vote.
Motion made by Mr. Ross,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Davis. Any discussion on any of those? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And just for the record, the compensation guides and contracts was tabled. We pulled it and we will review it, pending a little bit of clarification on that. time, did we move on to teacher's salary scale?
Okay, we have proposed the teacher salary scale for 10-month teacher positions for 25-26 school year. It meets the state bachelor's degree 0 years experience requirement of 48,000. This also has to meet other specific areas, for example, bachelor's and 5 years, bachelor's and 11 years, master's at 5 years, master's and 11 years. We have to spread those out because they give us a minimum. So sometimes if you see, well, this column may be $400 different, and this one may be 500, the next one's 1,000, it's because we have to hit those the benchmarks that the state gives us for the 5th, the 6th, and 11th year, basically. So that's why some of those are different, but this also keeps that longevity piece in there for the year 23, 25, 27, and 30. Those did remain the same except for the advanced because the state requirements required us to get above where we had left it off. So that is the salary schedule for teachers for the upcoming school year.
Now, we're gonna approve that, or is that gonna be approved through the budget?
We have to approve it separately, but it's technically not approved until the budget is approved. But it does have to be voted on separately.
Any questions for Dr. Smith? A lot of time went into this. I mean, it was really tedious to have to figure all this out. I entertain a motion to approve the salary schedule.
Make a motion.
Motion made by Mr. Ford,
I second it.
seconded by Ms. Carter. Any discussion or questions on that? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
The next item is the artificial intelligence enforcement plan. This does not require a vote, but it does require presentation. So I am bringing to you the AI policy enforcement plan for the 25-26 school years. Basically what it says is it lays out how we're going to monitor AI use, train staff, train students, track usage, keeping student data safe. We went over one of the policies that had a lot of that in it that we talked about, how they can be used and how they can't be used, how they can generate work and how we can check generation of AI work, and then protecting the academic integrity. So this lays out how we're going to keep students informed, keep teachers informed, and go with the artificial intelligence procedures that we set forth. This is relatively in its infant stages and how schools really use this appropriately. Colleges have this at a better level than the high schools do and even the middle schools, but we have got at least a plan now of how we're going to roll this out and how we're going to look at it. We also have to approve any artificial intelligence platforms that teachers use. That's in the policy that we passed last month. So we have to approve those, and now they have safeguards in place for this plan.
Now, that is procedure only, right?
That is procedure only, but it has to be presented.
Presented but not approved.
Correct. We have to upload it to the state by July 1st.
Okay.
Any questions on that one? All right. Yep.
Okay, we'll move into our committee reports. We had 3 committees meet this month. Turn it over to Mr. Atkins in the budget committee. I think they met Monday.
All right, we'll go over it starting in your booklet there. Of course, Lisa's trying to clean up this year, so a lot of these things are for that purpose. But I'll just try to briefly explain each one and stop me if you have any questions while I'm going, where you won't forget them. But in the first category, 7, these are amendments again, 71100. That, those changes, first thing I want to say is, this budget, you prepare a budget 12 to 18 months ahead of time, so it's hard to know what's going to happen with employees, with hiring, and a lot of different things. So that will be addressed in some of these. This one was changed. The biggest change was software, and then the other charges, and I don't have good notes on that, Lisa, what was it? The $154,000,
We
Well,
took it
well-
out, it's coming out to go in these other categories.
but, what was the biggest, I didn't have good notes on
Get a
the,
good price
on the certified subs, it's just where we just misappropriated.
Correct. On your certified subs, we're, by the end of June, we look to go over that budget by that amount of money. I will say this, for every dollar you see in here, it is exaggerated to make sure that there is enough money in each line item. The Social Security and the Medicare are two large portions of that. And what that is we have a cafeteria plan in place where certain benefits are sheltered from tax. And normally that has been running about 25%. For this year, the year we're still in, it's really decreased down to about 18%. So therefore, I didn't budget enough. Okay, so does that answer your questions on
Yes.
that one?
Yes.
Okay.
I apologize for not having good notes on that one.
Good.
The next one, 71,150, that's just basically a $900 cleanup. You know, as Lisa said, she has to have sufficient money in there, she can't go in with a deficit, so, she's moving money around to try to clean up that account. 71,200, special ed, they hired a teacher late that year, so that's why there's a decrease, that money wasn't utilized, and they had to reappropriate that money, and you see where that's appropriated. 72,110, this was just a minor change, it's a clerical position, and the employee worked more hours than were estimated, again, a year ago. 72,120, that's a $1,500 cleanup, for that, category, as well as 72,130 is cleanup at $700. 72,220, special education support, that's a pretty big change, and this money will come out of a fund balance, and that's for OT and PT. You know, when these students have an IEP, it dictates what they have to have as far as OT and PT, so you can't plan for that 12 months in advance either, so that's why there's a large change there, and that's why we'll have to come out of fund balance. The next one is technology, 72,250. That was moving some staff around and as well as moving the salaries around, so, that was a change there. If you go to the next page, 72,310, on unemployment, I didn't know this, but the school system has to pay the person that files for unemployment immediately, and then if there's a, when they do the dispute, if the school system is awarded, the award in the dispute, they have to pay, they give us credit after that. So of course, again, that's a guesstimate, and that's not very much money, but that is a change there. 72,320 is a $700 cleanup. 72,410 is $7,200, and that's Office of Principals, and that was an overlap of the leaving principal and the new principal at Baldwin Elementary School, so that's why that was a difference there. 72,510 is a $1,400 cleanup for the end of the year. Excuse me. 72,610 is, you see that natural gas $35,000 increase, so that natural gas has been high and it still is, and that will come out of the fund balance also, that $35,000. 72,620, again, that's some staff changes, and as well as salaries, in the maintenance of plant. 72,710 is in transportation. Everything seems to be going up as far as, parts, tires, all et cetera. Christie is still gonna look into that to see if we're being effective. The next one is 73,400, pre-K. There's no carryover provisions, so all these, you want to allot and spend those funds before the end of the year. The next page is 99,100, that is school to work, And, they had to have some more money of $8,500, and that'll come out of the fund balance. The last one on that page is the state, special ed preschool, and that again was a late hire for a teacher, so that's why there's a decrease, in that, and they're trying to spend that money before the end of the school year. All right, that is all the amendments, let's see, that's all the amendments. I'm sorry, go to the next page, 142. That's a cleanup in that category, the 21st century, grants, so that's a cleanup. The next one is 143, and that was, again, you can't, it's hard to estimate a year in advance what you're gonna need in your cafeteria. So these are, some changes in there for equipment and repairs. You'll see the, decreases and increases. All right, and then that is all the amendments. Is there any questions about any of them? Okay, any questions? If not, that comes as a recommendation from the budget committee.
Are we gonna take them all, the two that were on, they gotta go to the Board of County Commission, they gotta be all done at one time?
I think we can do them all at one time. I mean,
Yeah, we
we're-
did all the amendments at one time, and then we've got some budgets.
Okay, it's recommendation from the Budget Committee, do I have a second?
I so moved.
Motion made by, or seconded by Ms. Carter, any discussion or questions on those? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right, the next one in your book is a budget, and that's the summer school budget. That's hot off the press. We didn't get that until the end of, right at the, I think one of the last days of May. So you'll see all the budget in there, and that's the total budget for summer school for this year. One of the statements that was made is that, you know, with, this could change next year. They seem to think that they might start decreasing the summer school budget from the state, so hopefully that doesn't happen. But, that is the first budget that we need to look at. The second one is the cafeteria budget. And if you can breeze through that, I don't know if you have or not, but you can look through there. The notations that I would like to make are, we are earning interest on this account. I know we talked about interest several times, but we are earning interest on our fund balance here. This also does include a 4% increase, for staff pay. But if you look at the very last page, page 15, it will show you the summary. And if you look on the department request top number, that 152, that's gonna be that's their positive budget number. And then if you'll also look to the left in the middle of the page, that 1.8 is their fund balance. All right, is there any questions on those two budgets? I know the cafeteria is kind of lengthy, so, if you can look at it longer is fine. If not, we can, move to the next one. All right, those are no questions. The next one, budgets are so easy, I'm gonna let Christie read it.
I think you skipped 177,
Which one, what did I skip?
the capital improvement, 177.
I'm sorry, I did do that. That was my mistake. See, she's trying to get back at me already. The 177, the statement of proposed operation fiscal year, the educational capital projects, the estimated budget, as you see there, for this year is 2.9 million. And that's what we, am I correct?
No, it's on page 3 to 1.9.
That,
This is really,
yeah, I'm
this
sorry.
confusing, but it's the deficit number on the page 3.
And the plans are, the 1.9, the plans are, that's a deficit, because that's kind of being spent.
Correct.
because that's what they plan on spending, out of that budget. Sorry, I missed that one. All right, and then you got your cap, that's the three budgets that I'm presenting.
I will present the next set of consolidated funding budgets. This goes with the consolidated funding application I mentioned earlier. This is for federal programs, subfund, 10. This is basically for supervisor, director, clerical personnel, travel, and in-service. Subfund 101 includes a large amount of educational assistance, interventions and supplemental materials. It pays for our Parent Square communication program, instructional coaches, and some more in-service and staff development. That one is 1.444. Subfund 441 on the next page, instructional supplies and materials. This helps a lot with our dual enrollment in middle college costs, such as textbooks and other necessary items for that, as well as a large portion of the nurses. Subfund 106, the major part there are again our educational assistants and nurses. Fund 142, IDEA Part B, has more educational assistance. These are in the area of special populations, instructional supplies and materials for special ed teachers. In 72-200, that is a teacher for support services, travel, in-service, and staff development. The next section, transportation, that is for our special education bus drivers. And at the bottom, indirect cost is indirect cost for the year out to the finance. At the bottom, IDEA preschool. This funds an educational assistant, two educational assistants in that area, and any contracts with private agencies. This is basically our federal programs and our special ed budgets, and there's no major changes from anything we've had in the last few years.
And those four budgets, or all those budgets come with recommendation from the finance committee.
Okay. Do we have a second on the budget mentioned?
I see.
The second by Mr. Swift. Any discussions or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And at this time, I want to turn it over to Ms. Ayler for our Director of Schools Evaluation Committee.
Okay, everybody should have a copy of the evaluation results of Dr. Smith. We met, Brad and Mr. Davis are also on the committee, and we met and decided to go along with the same evaluation that we had last year and let TSBA tally the results and send them back to us. And as you can see, Appendix A was filled out. There's 19 personnel who are considered direct reports to Dr. Smith, and they did the first Appendix A, and then everything after that was filled out by the members of the school board, and the overall evaluation score was 3.81. So that is that, and we appreciate everything Dr. Smith has done and continuing to do for our school. We all hear very good things, and we appreciate what you're doing. Thank you. Questions?
Appreciate you doing that, Ms. Ayler, and I want to echo her comments. I really appreciate Dr. Smith and everything she does. I wouldn't want to be board chairman if she wasn't in that role. I wouldn't. I appreciate everything she does. She sets a great example for our community, and she's always out in the community and advocating for our school system. So I do appreciate it, Dr. Smith.
Appreciate you guys getting it without you.
Okay, at this time I'll turn it over to Ms. Carter for our insurance committee.
The insurance been hearing from some of our staff members and employees about complaints about the dental and vision So we've reached out to the vendors that we, use currently, and also, to the state of Tennessee, and we're going to have them, look at the plans to see if there's something better out there that we have not considered. And we will be bringing that finding to the board in July. So, that's the only update we have, is a future meeting, with, the vendors that we use currently. And also, we've appealed to the state to present it as well. We just wanna make sure that it's the best coverage that we can offer to the employees.
Great. Okay, thank you for that, Ms. Carter. This time I'll turn it over to Dr. Smith for our director's report.
All right, this is kind of an end of year encapsulation report more than it is a May and June report, but several things in here that I want to update you on, and then some things we kind of need to reflect on, because it does get easy to get been in the weeds sometimes and you forget where you've been and where you've gotten to. But first thing I want to show you on the screen is the look at our new website. It is now live. If you haven't been on there, I encourage you to go. It is a lot more user friendly, a lot more compact. So that is actually what you see when you pull the website up now. Then I want to talk a little bit about high school. As you all know, our vision had a lot of high school pieces in it 3 years ago, because we were not in the best position we needed to be in offering kids opportunities. It's something we worked really, really, really hard on. And you hear about numbers each year, but until you go back and you track them, it kind of shows the big picture. One of the things we've really focused on has been industry certifications. In 21-22, we had 2. Our kids really didn't know what they were. Our teachers weren't aware of it. We did a lot of awareness pieces and a lot of bringing them into dual enrollments, along with using our innovative high school funds and our grant to be able to pay for a lot of these, because a lot of these certifications cost money. Some of them can be rather expensive, especially for a child. But we have been able to use grant funds and some of our federal funds in some way or another, or CTE funds, I'm sorry, Perkins, to help fund these industry certifications for these students. Some of these students, that may be the first and only certification they get, and it can be something that they really hold on to, or something that propels them and inspires them to go farther where they might not have done so before. And that's what this is all about, is making sure our kids are as ready as they can be for whatever future they want to try to look for. But those are our numbers. We went from 2 in 21-22. This current year, by the end of May, we had 474. So 474 certificates went through both of our high schools in some form or fashion. We had certificates in CPR, BASF Plant Science, CNA. I think we had 31 or 32 kids pass the CNA exam. Kids can basically leave high school with a CNA and go straight to a medical facility locally, making $16 to $20 an hour. So that is something that our nursing services has really worked hard to, and I believe both of them had 100% pass rates. So that was something to really, really be proud of. NCRC actually offers college credit. If kids pass that, or if they make a certain level, they can get 3 hours of college credit. OSHA 10 is done through Future Ready. ServSafe Food Handler helps students who may want to go to work at McDonald's or whatever they choose to do. It gives them a little heads up on interviews and things like that. And then the NC3 Snap-on Multimeter certification is pretty tough to get. So our students are getting those, and we're really proud of what they're doing in that area. The next update I want to give you is dual enrollment courses. This is not number of kids or number of courses, it's how many times a kid has enrolled in a course. So a middle college student will have 4 dual enrollment course enrollments per semester. So that's kind of why these numbers, they look really large, and you're like, if we only have X number of students, how do we have 1,401? It's how many dual enrollment courses have been enrolled in. In 21-22, I think there were 34, and all those were U.S. history with Ms. Hodge. This past year, between our college dual enrollment through Free Hardeman, Jackson State, and some other areas, UT Martin, some other ones, our middle college with Jackson State, and our TCAT dual enrollments, we have hit over 1,400. Those students are earning post-secondary credits. As you know, middle college, we've talked about this several times, we had 21 students graduate from Jackson State the week before they graduated high school with an associate's degree, and I believe all but one or two graduated summa cum laude. So that was very, very, I believe we were the highest GPA district that went through there. So lots to be proud of there. That's a press release that we did on the website. So that's what the website looks like with press releases. Middle college numbers in 23-24, I think we started with 28. By the end of the first year, we were down to 21. That was the first set of juniors. And for that group of juniors to be the pilot group and the things that they went through and to stick with it, they are to be commended for perseverance. But they stuck with it. This past year, we had 55 students total in middle college at both high schools. And as of right now, we have 72 signed up to start middle college in the fall. Future Ready and Career Ready, we haven't talked about this in a while. This is post-secondary readiness. Future Ready is required for all of our ninth graders to take this course. We focus on things such as communication, responsibility, study skills, conflict resolution, teamwork, how to use social media, those types of things, life skills. And Career Ready is a secondary elective from that course, and it focuses more on things such as interviewing, problem solving, 21st century work skills, and labor market career awareness. And speaking of these two things, it takes a lot of work for those to be implemented and things like that to happen, especially guiding students into particular pathways, helping them figure out, I want to go here, how can I get there? It takes a lot of people and a lot of work. And with that being said, check your emails Thursday, because we have a big announcement, but it is embargoed right now, so I can't tell it. But it is huge, and it is something we have been working so hard for, and I cannot be more excited for this opportunity that's coming. Yeah, I just give you a teaser on that, but. The next one is, I just review data at the end of the year, because I have to look at, this just came in, what did it look like last year? How do we compare? How do we reflect? How do we make changes? And I thought it was worth revisiting on a couple of levels. One thing the State Department has done within the last couple of weeks is come up with this idea of using multi-year TBOS. As you know, in the past, we get a TBOS number, and that TBOS number is based on growth, and it's based on that year's growth for the projection for that group of kids. Well, now they've come up with multi-year is more stable and more telling of what is actually going on, because we know we have schools that can be a 5 one year and a 1 the next year because of one indicator, or vice versa. So they have not made this official, they have not even approved that it's going to be done, but they did send us our data of what it would look like if we went to a multi-year TBOS cycle. And it was interesting that we had several areas that would go up. This year we had 6 out of our 9 schools that were level 3 and above. And that's the first time we've ever had an average that high. But the multi-year would have actually made it even more. You can see that the 4, 5, and the EOC would have gone up a number. And then I believe our schools, several of them, there's 2, where's the other one? Let's see it. Yes, Fowler Central would have gone up 2 points, and Team would have gone up 1 point. So that's encouraging news that they might use that, but it is more indicative of what happens over the course of years in a school rather than just taking one test. You could have a tornado the day of a test, they're still gonna make you take it. What do you think those test scores are gonna do? So I just thought that was interesting information. Where we've been with achievement, tracking this each year to show what type of trajectory we're on. Biology, it does show a negative number there, but you can also see that we're kind of high to start with, and then we just had a rough year, and we know what caused that rough year, and we have since fixed that problem, hopefully. But overall, our achievement is increasing, and some of it's increasing pretty substantially. So lots to be proud of with achievement, because a lot of times we put our eggs in the growth basket, but this shows that we can grow in achievement as well. Chronic absenteeism is part of our letter grades for our schools, so it is something we watch, and a lot of the schools did a lot of work to put emphasis on that, whether it's calling parents, getting those contracts in place, using, parent squares and things like that. Most of our schools, about the second semester, if students weren't there that day, parents got an automatic text. That helps some things, but we did a lot of work to improve our absenteeism rates, and all of our schools except two met their AMO target. So not only did they decrease their absenteeism, they met their target, and Central High School met their double AMO. So. All right, capital improvement projects. I'm gonna run through some of these because this was a lot of fun to put together, because when you see it every day or frequently, you don't remember what it was like. But as you know, 2 or 3 years ago, we came up with a plan for our capital improvements areas, mainly focusing on Bolivar Central and Bolivar Elementary for the biggest ones. Last month, I went through a lot of the smaller projects. We have wrapped up Central. It is officially books closed on it. Bolivar Elementary, hopefully by the end of July, after 2 years, will be wrapped up and closed. But I do have some before and afters. So this is Central High School before. And if you notice the windows on the right, that's what makes the biggest difference. And that is a current picture. That is not a rendering or a drawing, that's an actual picture. This is the band room. This is from a drone. And that's what the band room looks like now. This is inside the courtyard. And that's what it looks like now. This is the library. We have begun renovating all of our libraries into tech hubs over the summer through our Innovative Schools grant. This is what it looked like before, and this is what it looks like now, and it is not finished. But got rid of some of those old tables, that big circulation desk. We're putting technology things in there, making them spaces that are more user-friendly and inviting to students to be in the libraries. The 2 high schools got the largest renovations, and once we have those complete, I'll bring you some before and after pictures of those. This is Bolivar Elementary. This is looking like from the office into the courtyard. Old doors, new doors. That's the front of the ABC building. It was literally falling down. The wood over that slanted wood had to be replaced. The windows and doors just look a lot better. And this is not recent, but it shows you an example of what windows can do. That's Bolivar Middle's gym a couple of years ago, and then I believe a year and a half ago we replaced the windows in it. So it just goes to show what capital improvement projects can do. Randy and I have sat down and gone through an extensive list of requests from schools, requests from his department, needs, repairs, and things like that. We've put together a pretty good comprehensive list to be able to bring to you so that you can kind of put together a plan of what we want to do next, as well as how we utilize some of that Fund 177 dollars. We were gonna do a tour, but in the summer, chairs can be in the hallways, they can be waxing. It's just really difficult to tour campus in the summer, so we're gonna wait until August, and once we do that, we'll go and look at all these campuses, and then you'll have some of the projects that we know we need to address. We have not addressed but 1 or 2 restrooms, and we know that needs to be really high on the list. So that's in capital improvement projects. If you read the paper, you saw where Ms. Dina Sane, once again, has been named the Tennessee Rural Education Association Teacher of the Year. She was one of 60 nominees within Tennessee, and in October, I believe, she will travel to Salt Lake City, where she will compete for the National Rural Ed Teacher of the Year. Just a few clips from Facebook. Middleton High School has been named a FAFSA champion. This is really important for them because they've had, actually I think they had 94% completion rate. About 2 years ago, their completion rate was like 31%. So they've made leaps and bounds to improve in this area. And FAFSA is important to kids because you pretty much cannot apply for a college without FAFSA application. And it is not a fun form to fill out. On the bottom right, that is Middleton middle school, all of our seventh graders, the very last week of school, went to, I believe, Jackson State, to it wasn't a career fair, it was more of an interactive future building awareness type thing. Gear Up funded all of that. They took them on charter buses, fed them Chick-fil-A or something, had a good time, they enjoyed it, but got to do hands-on things that Jackson State offers degrees in. Of course, we graduated, I believe, over 200 seniors in May at both high schools. Summer school is in full force. This is the second week. We had 415 students that filled out enrollments to show up, and we had 260 show up average, which is typical. It always happens. But it is 5 days a week. We do run buses. We're still going to Lone Oaks 1 day a week for our STEM programs and focusing on reading, math, and of course they get PE. Whiteville's having an annual basketball camp this week, and we've had students at the STEM Center as well. And I had to throw this one in there because this is an example of what teachers will do for their kids. This is Mr. Pickle, and he let them shave his head if they all went up on already. So, that is a lot of information, but it's also a good time of the year to reflect and to think about where we've been and where we can go from here.
Good. Any questions for Dr. Smith? Not hearing any. Before we adjourn, again, I want to thank Ron and David for being here tonight. We appreciate you guys for doing this. And at this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Motion made by Mr. Ross, second by Mr. Davis. All in favor say aye. Any opposed?